Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Riyal Deal Plus, coming to you from the Al Arabiya English headquarters. Great to have you with us. Electric vehicles are big business. More than 17 million EVs were sold across the globe last year. That's approaching a quarter of all cars sold worldwide. Well, China's BYD has overtaken Tesla as the world's top 10 EV manufacturer. Today we're going to be finding out more about the Saudi Arabia-backed EV maker Lucid Motors, which has been majority owned by the PIF since 2019. With manufacturing plant in the kingdom, Lucid is the first automotive brand that bears the Saudi-made badge. Well, Lucid delivered 3,309 vehicles in Q2. That's up some 38% from a year earlier. So how is Lucid doing? And where is the company positioning itself in this increasingly competitive market? Well, to help us answer those questions and more, I'm joined now by Faisal Sultan, the president of Lucid Middle East. Mr. Sultan, thank you very much indeed for coming to see us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let's start by talking about Lucid and its position in the market. It's dubbed the world's most advanced electric vehicle. What makes Lucid stand out in this market?
So since the beginning, when we came out with an idea of having an electric vehicle, we wanted to make sure that we are offering a package that not only brings technology, but also with it brings the luxury aspect, the design, the consumer, what the consumer really wants, the interiors, the exterior features. So that is what has really made Lucid stand out. Not only that, and as I said, technology is really what drives us. So efficiency is really the name, what we're trying to do in the industry. So when we came out in 2000, as you said, in 2021, when we came out with Lucid Air, it was the longest range vehicle at 883 kilometers. Nobody was even close to us. Even today, we're offering a vehicle that is 838 kilometers. We also have won many awards on the way. We have actually been mostly in Car and Driver, 10 Best, Motor Car Trend of the Year, awards, powertrain. You can just continuously, keep talking about the awards that we won. We just recently completed an exercise in Europe that is all over the news with the new world record of having 1,200 plus kilometers on a single charge. So we're trying to provide something out there that will really help the consumer get into the electric vehicle without being fearful of not having enough range, right, but also having a product that they really can brag to their friends about.
Right, so clearly you're doing something right. You're winning all those awards and you've got the range, which is interesting because you started life, Lucid began as a battery company called Atieva in California. And now you've got these cars that are doing 1,205 kilometers on one single charge. All of that seems to be paying dividends, doesn't it?
Yes, I think, look, we learned a lot. So as you said, when Atieva started, it was a battery company. We were supplying battery to majority of the OEMs in one of the Formula E races. And basically, for many generations, we supplied. So we learned a lot from that technology, and that battery company then really took that learning, put it into the powertrain, integrated together as a package that can then give you the 839 kilometers, 838 kilometers of range. And I think that really stands out. But then on top of that, we really got the right people who can design a car that is very attractive. So when you see a Lucid, it is definitely Lucid Air it turns heads, definitely, and people are amazed. They look at it and says, "Oh, who's producing this beautiful car?" That's really the first response I get out of them. We didn't know about this car company. Where did it come from? Oh, California design, California technology. We want to be in it.
It might also be turning heads because of the acceleration, because I think the Lucid Sapphire, that's got serious acceleration, hasn't it?
Serious, very serious. Yeah, you better have your seatbelts buckled and your head on the headrest already, because it will actually be the feeling that I describe in a Sapphire when you launch it. It's basically on the world's fastest roller coaster. The car takes off, and from 0 to 100 kilometers, you can basically get it under 1.9 seconds, which is amazingly fast. Currently, it is the fastest accelerating sedan and production car in the market.
Okay, so as you position yourself in the market, I mean, who are you targeting? Who's a sort of a Lucid driver? What's the profile?
Look, tech-savvy, successful people for the Air, for sure. That's really someone who really likes their tech, who likes to have an infotainment system that is connecting with you. So it is a fully connected vehicle. It's OTA, over-the-air updates are done on this, so you don't have to take your car for maintenance as much. Car is correcting itself as you're basically driving. We learned from the consumer behavior, and we put all those corrections into the software, and then the software really gets updated on its own. So really, that's a good definition of a customer for Lucid Air. Now, we just recently launched our Lucid Gravity, which is a 7-seater SUV. So the consumer on that is going to be a little bit different, but still tech savvy, but more practical use in that, bigger market. And then we are pretty soon next year, we're going to be coming out with a mid-size, which will be a more affordable vehicle for mass volumes.
You can sleep in the back of the Gravity, can't you?
In the Gravity, yes. You can actually take the third row and the second row, and it becomes flat, almost like a full-size bed that you can really sleep on. Okay.
I mean, you're still quite a new car company, as car companies go. Profitability is still a long way off. But tell us anyway, what are your goals for 2025? What do you aim to achieve?
I think, look, the biggest thing for Lucid has been the brand awareness, and we are doing many things now, to make sure that the consumer gets into the car. Because what our experience has been, once the consumer gets into the car, the conversion rate is super high compared to all other OEMs, because the product talks to you. The technology talks to you. So that is the goal in 2025. We're getting more cars on the road, test drives, Gravities, Airs, more coverage, through media, paid media, and influencers, ambassadors. I think they're all going to be part of the picture. And the goal would be very simple, just for the consumer to know about this great product that is, making waves.
Okay. Saudi Vision 2030, something we talk a lot about. Part of that goal is to have 30% of all cars on the roads in Saudi Arabia EVs by the year 2030. How are you aligning your production goals with that goal of Vision 2030?
Yeah, I think the biggest driver for us, really, to put the advanced manufacturing plant in King Abdullah Economic City, which is our second. We have AMP1 in Arizona. Now we have AMP2 in King Abdullah Economic City, about 1 hour north of Jeddah. And it's going to be 150,000 vehicles per annum capacity. The reason why we're doing it is because of all of these initiatives. The Saudi government is putting an amazing focus on getting greener when it comes to transportation sector. And Saudi Green Initiative, as you mentioned, aims to have 30% of new car sales, as EVs. So having a plant within the country, not only producing for Saudi, but also producing for the rest of GCC and exporting it outside of GCC is going to, this initiative is definitely going to put the foundation stone for us to have that being successful.
Sure, and I mean, EV adoption in Saudi Arabia is, it's a bit like everywhere in the world. It can't happen overnight, can it? There has to be the right infrastructure in place, especially charging infrastructure. I mean, how involved are you with efforts to speed up that process? We're
deeply involved in this, as being the first, let's say, cornerstone of electric vehicle industry production within Saudi Arabia. We actually bear that responsibility to educate the consumer, but also educate the policymakers. So we're working with the policymakers, we're working with PIF, Public Investment Fund, and we're also working with EWIC, which is actually a dedicated entity that PIF has introduced. They aim to have thousands of chargers by 2030, DC fast chargers, which will help consumers charge very fast. And we're helping EWIC. We have a MOU, a strategic MOU with them, where we're trying to bring where the locations should be, where the consumers who are buying the electric vehicles from us, where are they located, so they can choose the locations and put them in the right spots where they're really needed.
Okay, and I mean, half of Saudi's citizens, according to one survey, say they would consider an EV. I mean, the market has enormous potential, doesn't it? There's a huge captive audience out there.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that is very much known, that the Saudi consumer, when they really understand what the benefits are of having a product, they quickly turn and adopt it. And that adoption is quite obvious. Like in some of the other countries, a lot of the government consumer incentives were driving. In case of Saudi Arabia, the consumer incentives are still not out there. You have a OEM like Lucid, the first OEM that is going to be producing a car, happens to be an electric vehicle producer. And then you have companies like EVIC that are putting the EV chargers. Now, Lucid also offers, to help the consumer make that decision, we offer a home charger free with every car and an installation free. So if you have a parking spot, you can buy a car from Lucid, you can go ahead and install the charger, and every week, maybe twice a week, charge your car like an iPhone. You just plug it in at night, and in the morning, you will have 838 kilometers of range on your car. And you're definitely not going to drive your car 838 kilometers on a single day. So, as long as you have a parking structure and you're not driving 1,000 kilometers from one city to the other city, you're okay. So Lucid is trying to do their part when it comes to home charging, but we're also then working with EVIC, and I think the adoption rate and the surveys are showing that, because people are not really afraid of charging, because they do believe that Lucid solution and the government-backed PIF solution is going to be there from a charging perspective.
In terms of the battery technology, any of the minerals come from Saudi itself? I think I read a report saying that some of the key minerals in the battery could come from Saudi Arabia.
They could, definitely. So right now, as you know, that PIF and Saudi Arabia, the government of Saudi Arabia, have started an initiative on the rare metals and minerals. And that exploration has started. Ma'aden is playing a major role in that, but PIF is now acquiring a lot of companies that do that, international companies that are going to come and become part of that value chain. So we are aware of that, and we have a huge supply chain effort, not only on parts, but also on the raw material, where we are actually looking at, whether it's lithium, cobalt, nickel, magnesium, where are these opportunities going to be in the next 5 to 10 years in Saudi, and how can we tap in strategically, to have them available to us.
Right, so it's a doubly Saudi vehicle in that case, if it's got Saudi materials in the battery, and it's made it at the plant in Saudi Arabia, which, as you said, has a capacity of 150,000. I mean, what we're told by people who see Lucid cars around the place is that people are very proud that there is this Saudi brand out there that's sort of flying the flag.
Definitely, we're the first car to bear that Saudi-made badge on it. So, which is amazing, because I think that brings that emotional connection that I was talking about earlier. We are the first OEM that is assembling cars already. The air and the gravity are being assembled as we speak in the plant, and then we are building that bigger CBU plant, which is going to be ready at end of next year. And I think this is why people are so attached to it, because they see it as their own brand, Lucid. And Lucid is trying to really do a lot of other activities. We are present in pretty much all the major events that happen. We are the car of choice when it comes to transferring VVIPs. We have a lot of the ministers driving the car. We have a lot of the VVIPs that are driving the car. So that really helps the cause also.
One of the things we've talked about quite a bit on this program is sourcing talent. And some of the companies we've spoken to have expressed, this is a bit of a challenge sometimes, finding the right talent. Are you struggling in that respect, or are you managing to find the people in the numbers you need, with the expertise you need to make the cars and ultimately sell them?
Yeah, look, right now we have an SKD plant. The SKD plant is not a big operation. It's just assembling kits that are coming from Arizona. But we are working on a long-term basis. We started about a year and a half ago on this, where we wanted to take about 2-3 years to build that pipeline of the talent. So we signed a deal with Human Resource Development Fund, HRDF, for $50 million to be available to Lucid for 10 years' time, to build that pipeline where we take the Saudi talent, send them to Arizona, California, get them trained there, and then bring them back. So 3 or 4 batches of that have now already been in the system, and we've received those people back, and they're working proudly in our assembly plant, in our headquarters, regional headquarters in Riyadh, in King Abdullah Financial District. So the contribution is there. Now we're going to supplement that. We signed a deal with NAWA, which is the National Automobile Vehicle Academy in Cake. Again, it has Ministry of Education, Ministry of Industry, PIF, a couple of the other OEMs representation. I also sit on the board on that. And basically, we try to formulate a curriculum so we can take students from high school, technical vocational centers to kind of come to this academy, go through a 6-month, 12-month program, and be ready on day one to jump on a Lucid job or one of the other OEM's job. So there is a systematic way of filling that gap. So the gap is there. There's no automotive manufacturing in the kingdom. So we realized that very quickly, and we worked with the government authorities and the academies. We just recently signed with TVTC in Dammam, in the eastern side of the country, the Technical Vocational Training Center, another deal that is also going to do the same thing on the eastern side of the country. So even though we're located on the western side, we will have coverage full country, because the pipeline is going to be from people moving into Cake. That's how I envision we're going to have thousands of people working, and they're all going to come from all over the country.
So as we sort of bring this conversation to a close, I'd just like to ask you whether you feel like attitudes, not just in Saudi, but right across the Middle East, are shifting when it comes to EVs, because this is, of course, an oil-rich part of the world. Do you see that happening?
Oh, definitely. I think I see now, not only on the passenger car side, with Lucid being here, and then, we have other OEMs that are now also coming into Saudi to manufacture electric vehicles. Their own brands here is there also. I also see a lot of electric buses. I see a lot of electric trucks that are making its way. So it's definitely real. I think, the region, once they make a decision, the policies follow it very quickly, and the government makes sure it happens, because sustainability, environmental issues are real. You are getting hundreds of more tornadoes, in US. You're getting a lot more flash floods all over the world. So change is really needed, and I think Europe and US started it, but other regions really need to jump in, and I think Middle East will play a major role. Pretty soon we're hoping that some of the other continents around will also get onto this bandwagon. As electric vehicles become more affordable, it's not going to be a matter of choice, it's going to be a matter of necessity, basically, to change the attitude.
Okay, so Saudi obviously a key focus. What are the other markets in the Middle East that you're particularly zeroing in on?
We are already in UAE, United Arab Emirates. We have a retail outlet and a service location. We are rapidly expanding in UAE. We're actually rapidly expanding in Saudi as we speak. So those 2 core markets are going to continue to expand. Next year, you will see another 2 GCC countries coming live with Lucid. I will let you know what those are later. I'll save it for the next interview. But those 2 markets will be our core target for next year, and then we'll continue to do that every year, add 1 or 2 more markets.
Okay, we look forward to that. Just lastly, where do you see Lucid in 5 years from now? Let's say 2030 is upon us. Where would you like to be?
Well, I definitely see Lucid as well-established OEM by 2030, and the reason why I say that is we have a public investment fund of Saudi Arabia as one of our largest shareholder, and when they put their mind to something, they definitely make it happen. So there have been a great supporter. Secondly, our technology. Everyone wants our technology. We are the leaders in technology when it comes to battery and powertrain, and that is definitely going to continue to keep us going, further improvements for consumers. And thirdly, with our midsize and Gravity now coming out, so the Gravity is going to definitely get us more sales in the future, because the total addressable market on Gravity is 4 or 5 times more than the Air. And then we have the midsize, which is just around the corner. It's a beautiful product. I've looked at some of the prototypes, amazing product. And when that comes out end of next year, we're going to have a lot of volume that we're going to capture.
All right, well, I think we're going to be keeping the conversation going over the coming months and years, and really look forward to hearing more about Lucid's progress and expansion. In the meantime, thank you very much indeed to you, Faisal Sultan, the president of Lucid Motors Middle East.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's get some more analysis. And we are joined here in the studio by Ali Raza, who's the Chief Investment Officer at Haytham and Company. Thank you very much indeed for coming to see us, Ali. Always nice to have you here with us in the studio. Just what struck me from listening to Faisal Sultan there about Lucid is this sense of pride there in Saudi Arabia, that these cars, which are increasingly visible across the kingdom, are made in Saudi Arabia. That's a source of national pride, isn't it?
Without a doubt, Tom. I mean, it's a country that's been very energy dominant, and there's a set of industries that have been quite common in Saudi Arabia. But for the first time, we have Saudi-made EV vehicles hitting the ground, and some of the first vehicles that hit the ground were the Saudi police fleet, which was a Lucid fleet, and it's quite an interesting and I guess rewarding thing to see when the nation has been banding behind such an investment and project, and to see it come to life and actually grace the roads.
I mean, we're at the very beginnings, aren't we, of not just Lucid as a company, but of the sector, electric vehicle sector in Saudi Arabia. I mean, clearly, I mean, one of the things that I mentioned there with Mr. Sultan is, with the majority of Saudi people open to the idea of having an electric vehicle, it just goes to show that there are no barriers anymore to the idea, and enormous potential for this market.
Of course. I mean, electric vehicles around the globe have clearly become the mobility, the light mobility vehicle of choice, right? And we haven't quite adopted it as a world yet entirely, perhaps at the rate that some people would have liked to, but it's certainly becoming the mode of mobility for the foreseeable future. And the Saudi population has shown to be quite receptive of technologies that push the envelope, to be receptive of novel concepts. I mean, Saudi Arabia has a 97% digitalization rate of government services. It's one of the highest in the world. And there's clear evidence that the Saudi population will take on board new developments. Now, I mean, the EV industry is an interesting one, particularly for Saudi Arabia. Remember, just a few short years ago, and I'm talking 3 years, we had no EV industry. There were no EV vehicles being developed. This is not a 10, 20-year process where industrial players were lobbying the government and we had to procure capital and resources, and over several decades we built an industry. Saudi Arabia has seen the establishment of the EV industry, and we can say that now because the Lucid vehicles are on the road. We're expecting many more to come. We've seen the establishment of an industry in the space of a few short years. So I think if that's any evidence, I mean, that in itself shows that people are receptive. We have the landscape, the environment, the ecosystem to support this. I'll bet at an industrial level we have many more steps to go. But it's very clear that this is a segment, a sector that people will be receptive to, they will adopt, and the national efforts are supporting all of that in great volume.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before, but people in Saudi Arabia like their cars, don't they? They like driving. The distances between places are quite significant as well, and sort of the car has been, a key part of life in Saudi Arabia. It's also, listening to what Mr. Sultan was saying there about Lucid, I mean, I can hear and see Vision 2030 sort of stamped all over it. Did you get that impression as well?
I think that's true of many of the initiatives in Saudi Arabia, and I think that is the excellence of the Vision 2030 initiative, but particularly the leadership behind it and the way that the people are receiving it. If you think about all the different sectors and all the different activities we've often discussed, they're all threaded together, right? Everything is threaded together and it's complementary. And of course, from time to time, you rebalance and redirect efforts, but everything's threaded together. Mr. Sultan mentioned that Lucid has a relationship, a partnership that's been established with EVIQ to support and accelerate the rollout of charging infrastructure in the kingdom. And similarly, there's a number of partnerships in place. I mean, Blacklane, which recently came into the kingdom, a European enterprise, has a relationship now with Riyadh Air and also EVIQ, and Lucid has a close relationship with Riyadh Air. So there's a lot of synergy between many of the public initiatives and then the private sector bands together behind that as well in order to maximize the development of that industry. And Vision 2030, I mean, it's many, many things, and we could have that conversation all day long. But one of the key tenets of Vision 2030, also, if we think about the underlying message, is for Saudi Arabia to go from being a consumer of technology to a producer of technology. And it's very natural to expect that the Vision 2030 mark is stamped all over Lucid as well.
Yeah, and those synergies and that sort of support structure with an ecosystem where all the companies are sort of supporting each other makes perfect sense as well. One of the other things that I wanted to just ask you about, because we've talked about this as well on the Riyal Deal, is finding the right people, finding the right talent, and that's something that I picked up on with Mr. Sultan there as well. I mean, it's one thing to be a consumer of technology, as you say. Being a producer of technology is a whole other story. Is there the right, are there the right resources there in terms of the manpower?
Well, first you need the ambition, right? Then you need the strategy, and those two things are in abundance. Now, this is a question of local talent and global interest. Global interest is sky high. There is enormous demand and interest for people to come, work, and build in Saudi Arabia. Local talent is growing at an accelerated pace. Now, the way the Vision 2030 initiatives have been delivered through the activities of PIF and the many ministries and even the private sector in the kingdom, they follow a very common thematic or pattern if you pay close attention to it. Right? Establish well-regarded platforms, invest into great technologies, great ecosystems. We won't always have all the talent available. We won't always have all the education and knowledge available. Naturally, this is something that grows through time. I mean, Germany didn't build around the combustion engine in the space of 3 years. It took time and decades to build the talent pool, the energy, the resources, the capital to see it through. Now, this is happening at an accelerated rate in the kingdom. But the pattern that you see consistently is establish a platform which is sizable, credible, has the technology and the ability to bring in high quality people to the region, have them partner with the local talent, transfer knowledge, build capability, and you'll have a positive outcome. And I think that's taking place in great volume here as well.
And just lastly, and this is really where I started my conversation with Faisal Sultan about Lucid, is there are lots of players in the market, aren't there? And we see them everywhere. The BYDs, the Teslas. I think BYD has now taken the top spot in terms of the largest number of deliveries of EVs of any EV producer. Hard to stand out in this industry when it's a crowded market. I mean, what do you make of the ambition to make Lucid, really stand out from the rest of the competition?
Well, first I'll share, the personal opinion here. You should see the Lucid vehicles on the road. They look phenomenal. And, Lucid is employing the best-in-class technology in their vehicles as well. Now, who has the better vehicle? This is a matter of subjectivity and objectivity, depending on the audience, but Lucid is a phenomenal vehicle. Now, the automotive sector will always come with a competitive environment. This is not a new trend or pattern. In Saudi Arabia, now we have Lucids. Sia will be released, hopefully, in a year or two. Hyundai will be building in region, but the vehicles are already available. Kia is available. BMW EVs are available. BYD, yes, has globally taken the lead on vehicle volumes past Tesla. And although Tesla announced the launch of its presence in April here in the Kingdom, BYD is going to give them a run for their money. So naturally, a competitive environment it's a healthy thing. It's a healthy thing. There is competition, but if, as an organization, whether that's Lucid or anyone else, you continue to innovate, you build, you develop, and you partner with the relevant entities, and you partner with your customers in the appropriate way, you stand a great chance. I think, in addition to the Lucid vehicle having incredible technology and a great story behind it, there's also the fact that it has the support of the public leadership, and it is such a critical piece to the industrial development programs under the Vision 2030 initiative. And as a result, we're seeing enormous investment into it, but also facilitation and support to ensuring that it is a success, not just in Kingdom, but across the globe. So I think that's where the story goes.
All right. Well, thank you very much indeed for that. A real pleasure talking to you and as well to Faisal Sultan about Lucid. Thank you. Ali Reza, Chief Investment Officer of Hyther & Company. Thank you very much indeed to you.
Thank you.
And that's it from us. Thank you very much indeed for watching this special edition of the Riyal Deal Plus here on Al Arabiya English. Thanks for watching. See you again very soon.